until his secondary education, and I also helped him to bring his beautiful wife, who is now his widow. One thing, you people who do not know Magoha, he has written a book, and that book has a lot. Why don't you buy it and read it? And this goes equally to my siblings. Most of you have not bought that book. You wanted to be given a complimentary like I was given, but you never got it. Instead of buying a whiskey, buy that book and read it. Just before he died, as has been mentioned here by Raphael, we were engaged in preparing the burial of his follower, Professor Richard Alexander Nyabera. We sat, he built for him his home because we had promised. He had gone away without the law procedure, no woki simba. So he went without establishing a home. So we had to establish one for him. Now George spent a lot of money doing that. But on the week before he died, we sat in my house, relatives only, and we agreed that we should give a contribution, a token contribution, towards bringing the body back, not for the house. And I, as the eldest, I was challenged. I had to move my seat near him because I don't have very good ears. Then we spoke. Luckily, I had some money on my phone. I transferred it to his phone. I told him, now I've set the ball rolling. And then I got other members of the family, and they raised the money which he wanted. And that money was to be raised within 48 hours. That is the last thing that he did publicly with me. We had our lunch, and he went away. That was on a Friday, Saturday. On Tuesday, I rang him, and I asked him, when exactly is the body arriving so that we can meet it? I realized he wasn't talking very well. So I asked him, what is the problem? I am not feeling very well. Okawini maber. But I can manage. That is the last time we spoke. The next thing I heard from my wife the following day was that Professor was gone. Do not be discouraged. Those of you who are here, I'm now an old man. I've seen a lot. I saw my friend Agwings die, JM die. That has not stopped me from living. You have courage and work hard. Hakuna chabure. Mnasikia? Well, the fourth president has told you many times, hakuna chabure. Lakini mkijaribu mtapata. To my sisters, the two of them, and my brother Joseph, remain focused on what our mother's legacy, what George's legacy has been. To everybody else, those who loved my brother, have peace, pray for him. If he wronged you, forgive him. Please, I repeat, forgive him, because nobody is perfect. Deo Wudinya Sakwa, goodbye.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my brother Obare. That was very well spoken. I'm going to ask Dr. Ifyok Isien, who is brother to Dr. Barbara Magoha, to come and make some remarks. Please, let's give him a chance. Yodala wa mantil o kokanyo wa kwayo mondo uye mondo ulinge matin mondo welo mo amaboyo gi utie kwach.
Good morning, our lordships. Good morning, the fourth president of Kenya. Good morning, the former prime minister. My dear in-laws, Ukoromi, Yaikom Kenan, Asante Asante. Thank you very much. You all know Professor Magoha as an adult, as a professor, a full, hard-working man. I knew Professor Magoha as a young man in the medical school. So like I used to tell him, a teacher was once a student. I was 3 years his senior. So the iron that you have seen today was forged in Nigeria, exactly in the College of Medicine of the University of Lagos. These are the features I saw of him. A hardworking young man, very sincere, extremely sincere. He worked very hard, and with him he had his siblings, Joe and Pauline. He came into our family, and let me use the word kindly. He applied to join our family. We are all families of doctors. My father was a doctor. 4 of my siblings are doctors. 3 of my children are doctors. So when he applied, we had to vet it very seriously. And when you see that we accepted him, you can see the product. You see the finished product. You see what he did to Kenya. God be praised. I didn't know that he will have a shorter life. But it appeared that hurry was because he had a lot to do and he needed time to do it. He didn't have the time to finish what he wanted to do. But I thank God that whatever he did, he brought peace and joy. He was straightforward. He could step on anybody's toes, but you couldn't doubt one thing. He was very sincere. Please, George, rest in peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We are almost reaching the end. Presiding priest, I like to just make a small explanation. I'm going to call upon the governor of Siaya to speak. But before I do that, before I call the governor of Siaya to speak, I'd like to call a person who you don't know is a relative actually in this home. Among us, the Luos, I did surprise the president, but Professor Magoha was my cousin, and we kept it a secret because otherwise maybe we would have considered twice having cousins sitting in the same cabinet. But you may not be aware, but Ida Odinga is also related to the home. You've heard about Mama Elizabeth, who is 100 years old. Sister to Mama Elizabeth is Pauline Anyango. That is where Pauline Dola, she's actually Pauline Anyango Dola, gets her name from. And Pauline's daughter, which is an auntie to Professor Magoha, Pauline's daughter, Noela is here. I don't know if Raymond is also here. Noela, would you please stand up if you are anywhere so we can acknowledge you? Yeah, that's Noela Oyo. And she's first cousin to Professor Magoha. She happens to be married to Ida Odinga's elder brother. You see how these things get mixed up? Yeah? And that's why I always tell my Luo brothers, don't hit somebody else. Don't be mean to somebody because you don't know where you're going to meet. You'll get very ashamed, right? So, Madam Ida, if you'd like to come and say something, and I will. Bella clap, please.
To the family of Professor George Omore Magoha, my friend Barbara, and the others, I wish just to convey my sincere condolences to this family. Just as I think you can now hear me. Okay. Good. To the family of Professor George Omore Magoha, I would like to convey my sincere condolences and the family, from my family to your family. We've had a long connection with this family. Standing next to me is my sister-in-law. She was married to my brother that I come after in birth, and she's a cousin to George Omore Magoha. Now, the long relationship did not just start with her. I think Pauline Magoha, now Pauline Dollar, that was my student. The others, Joe was an administration in my home. So I know the family very well. Now it is sad that we are losing George at this time when he's just at the prime of his life. In fact, this is the time that George was really coming out as the best. And then death, without warning, decided to take him away. Jodalawa, Jogame, Wuntie, and bende anyar game. Anyar ukaya Buckingham Palace ka. Omyoka biroka, literally, abiro ywago wadwa. To wago most Jogame, to giji duto, and particularly those in the education sector, because the foundation that he put in the education center is very strong, and I hope it will be followed to the latter. Now, Okado Achomangeng, we just pray to God, may the Lord God rest his soul in eternal peace. Amen.
Thank you very much. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of another colleague of Professor Magoha. Eugene Wamalwa is with us here. Let's give him a clap. Thank you. Then there's Vice Chancellor Rasom Tum of Mombasa University. He also joined us. There are two more members of Parliament, Dr. Nyekal from SEME and Member of Parliament Opio Wantai has also joined us. Thank you very much. I just like to make a few remarks as matter of encouragement before I ask our governor, who will in turn then invite the Prime Minister, who will in turn then invite the fourth President of the Republic of Kenya. I think at times like this, when there's no hope sometimes, and I'm specifically addressing Dr. Michael Magoha, this is for you. There's a story. Some years ago, there was a little girl who lost both parents, and she was about 6 years old. And his uncle, a teacher, Yes. Yes. Okay. Sorry. I'm told there's Adipo Kwame and James Koyo. And just as a matter of protocol, we'll have Governor Osea speak. After that will be Honorable C.S. Owalo, who will read the President's speech. Then after that, it will be the Prime Minister. Then after that, His Excellency the President. That is the protocol. I've just been reminded. This I want to tell my son. There was a girl who was an orphan at age 6, and her situation was completely hopeless. Mother had passed on during the childbirth of our follower during those days, and the father died shortly after for reasons not known. And she was a 6-year-old girl, and her uncle, Alphonse Ndege, found her walking in the village naked like an animal. As a girl, those days, even if you are poor, you had some panties on. But this girl was walking naked like an animal. The uncle removed his vest, put the vest on this girl, and brought that girl to the Magoha home. And that girl, no father, no mother, 6 years old, no dress, just a vest which had been lent by her uncle. And Mama Sarah made for her her first dress, because Mama Sarah knew how to sew clothes. Mama Sarah is Professor Magoha's mother. She brought up that girl, made for her clothes, gave her shelter. That girl later on got married, and out of that very desperate situation, I'm the son of that girl. So no situation can be completely hopeless. So you lost your dad, it is painful, but you can't give up hope. Professor Nyong'o is not here, but I was told he sent his message. So I'm sorry, I'll not give the chance to who was supposed to read the message. You'll give the message to the family. I'm going to ask Governor, Your Excellency, James Orengo to come and make your remarks. Then I'll invite the CS ICT, Mr. Waller. Thank you.
Hello, Camaro. Thank you to the clergy who are presiding over this important occasion for our community, because this is the last day of a great son of Siaya, Professor Magoha. To Dr. Barbara Magoha, Dr. Michael Magoha, to the 4th President of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta. To the People's President, Raila Amolo Odinga. Nemin Pain, Manya Game, Min Pain, Manya Game, Dr. Ida Odinga. to the county secretaries who are here, and the former county secretaries, to the deputy, to the leader of the minority in the National Assembly, and to the members of parliament who are here, and to the county member of parliament, Dr. Christine Ombaka, Governor Emeritus of the great county of Kakamega, Wycliffe Ambesa Oparanya, to the Governor Emeritus of Siaya County, Woodruth Kone Rasanga. You will excuse me because I must say a word in Luo. Then I'll say the rest in English. Jothurwa wa yiko woi ma katasani wan kisunga kode. Okon kisunga kode. Woi mokelo piny mangima igem. Donge uneno? Mogolo Uhuru Kenyatta midwani Uhuru Kenyatta ni maliel moko bare. Dengo uneno Uhuru Kenyatta ka. To kendo okelo jatendwa miluongo Raila Amolo Odinga. Omiyo ma okendiel alielo kadho ka. Okendiel alielo kadho ka. Omiyo akwau konde mu ae luoruru mineu. Luoruru mineu. Min magoha manonyuolo magoha. Moiko pieche igem ka. Emomiyo magoha koro waduoko kama min mare bene oikie. Emomiyo wacho ni od meru kata chwer. Od meru kata chwer. Od meru kata chwer. Ten odu. Mane odu. Be unyo gima kelo no. Joge unyo gima kelo no. Game kae. Game onyuolo thuondi. Game onyuolo thuondi. Game ka edag somo. Wateru nyithindo somo mondo wanyuol magoha moro. Magoha koro anono oweno daktari bende. Mabiro chiedhowa. Game onyuolo kil manokwongo e Kenya mangima. Midogo nangi agwenge kodhek. To profesa kopo ni bolo kidika to dipo kigo wi profesa. Omiyo game ka king'ato wuondi ni nyalo wite kidika jiriek motamre gi nono. Mar ariyo, jothurwa akwawo nyaka wabed gi chiemo. Nyaka wabed gi chiemo e miechwa. Jaluo chon ne wacho ni ok achiem dalau. Nikech jaluo ne en gi chiemo. Jaluo ne en gi chiemo. Omiyo adwaro an kaka ne umiya teko nabed gavana ma Siaya. Adwaro ni kwaluwo tim profesa mane jachieth kendo scholar. Wabed gi chiemo e dala. Maka welo biro kako biro ni to an gi chiemo ma omiyogi. Emomiyo sama koth dwa chwe ni koluwore gi teko ma Raila Amolo Odinga omiya, wakelo tingni e Siaya kendo tingni osedonjo e game. Ariyo nitie tingni manyien mabiro. Tawacho ni kitiyo gi tingano Kitiyo gi tingano to iyudo kodhi nono, kodhi no. En tinga ma pesa we mong'iewo. En kodhi ma pesa we mong'iewo. Ka tieko gi doluo, piny ilaro. Piny ilaro. Wow, jowa mang'eny osedhi loko walaro piny. Agwenge kodhek waiko ka. Mboya obiro iko agwenge ka, Mboya bende onindo. Uko bende onindo. Odhiambo Mbai bende onindo. Omiyo kama intie, ero wadu kaka iheri iwuon. Kik idhi kamoro mikuodhe jadalau kata ng'atu moro. Wana wacho. Ya, Dr. Buru be odonjo. Dr. Buru Oginga Senator bende odonjo. An ing'eyo sama koro waloso kwa chap piny. Kendo adwa njagemi wuoth kichap piny. Kijaluo tiwuoth kichap piny. Mondo wanen legacy ma magoha wawe legacy machalo nadi. An gimomiyo amor go Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta has left a legacy. A very important legacy. If you have eyes to see, I invite you to see. If you have ears to hear, I invite you to hear. When President Uhuru Kenyatta was talking about affordable housing, I read somewhere when Uhuru Kenyatta was pronouncing himself on policies of the government of the Republic of Kenya, and he talked about affordable housing. Those who are talking about Uhuru Kenyatta, I have never heard anyone criticizing affordable housing. And affordable housing is also coming to Siaya. It's coming because that's a policy that is engraved in the constitution and in the law and in the budget of the land. And therefore I ask you, as the people of Game and the people of Nyanza, our brothers, Ugandans are our brothers, and we only pray for peace in our neighborhood and in our land. Gimago mawacho, mabeyo modonjo ni te ka. To mok hero to wachni. Give me this opportunity now to call upon. Yeah, before I call the next speaker, I want the leader of the minority, Opio Wandai, to come here.
Okay.
To the clergy, the family of Professor Magoha, His Excellencies Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and Raila Amolo Odinga, fellow mourners, I'm here to join you in sending off this distinguished son of Kenya, who has indeed left great legacy that all of us are going to be proud of. It's also an occasion for us to undertake an introspection of Kenyans. That is it possible for us to continue with the good work that Magoha was doing? Or can we use this occasion to sue for unity of the country? Or can we use this occasion to reflect upon the deeds that all of us have been known for? The challenge is upon us. So I convey my condolences and the condolences of all members of the National Assembly from the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party. One Kenya Coalition Party. Tokati yeko. Tanyakawache Gimora Ben. One Kakajoluo. One Kakajoluo. Kotel Jatendwa Chie.
National Assembly from the
Main Raila Amolo Odinga. Main Raila Amolonga.
Party. Tokati yeko. Tanyakawache Gimora Ben. One Kakajoluo. One Kakajoluo. Kotel Jatendwa Chie. Main Raila Amolo Odinga. Main Raila Amolonga. Wachung kar tiendwa. Kendo wachung gichir. Kawang'eyo ni wan e open chike mane Raila gi osiepene moko kedoni. Kaka ji mowacho, wan gi nyadhi. Nikech wan ok wachiem ka ng'ato. Ok kamano. Wan ok wachiem ka ng'ato. Kendo ng'ato ang'ata mapayo ni sani koro siasa mar baba oduogo piny. En ng'ama leko. En ng'ama leko. Ok kamano. One solidly behind Baba. Kama nyiso wane wachome, temo wadhiye. Konyiso wane left, right, about turn. Nyasaye madhugwegi, erokamano ahinya.
Erokamano intellectual, kora aduoko microphone ni Master of Ceremonies, osiepwa Raphael Tuju. Erokamano. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. On behalf of the family once again, I take this moment to invite CS Owalo to come and read the message of condolence from His Excellency President William Ruto. Thank you very much, CS, for coming, and we appreciate your presence here. And by the same token, I know there's going to be a vote of thanks, but we want to acknowledge the assistance that we have received from the government of Kenya. We also want to acknowledge the assistance that we received from the Prime Minister, and we want to acknowledge the assistance and kind support also we received from His Excellency, the 4th President, and all the support that we have received from current cabinet secretaries and former cabinet secretaries. Thank you, sir.
The Magoha family, led by Dr. Barbara and ably assisted by Dr. Michael, the 4th President of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and Mama Aida, the church, members of parliament present, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Indeed, I've known this family for close to 30 years. When I was doing my A-level studies at St. Mary's Yala here, where I was also a head student, I came to know the late Justice Masime. And by extension in the process, I also came to know the Magoha family. Mzee John Obare, who was speaking here, was a very close friend to a distinguished son of game by the name S.M. Owino-Oger, who was then one of the most accomplished lawyers in this country. I did get to know Owino-Oger through Mr. Obare, and when I went to Nairobi for the first time in the year 1990, the person I was living with is the late Owino-Oger. So I can say or state without fear of contradiction that I owe the people of Game, and by extension the Magoha family, a great debt of gratitude. Indeed, when reports circulated in the social media that Professor Magoha had passed on, and I was alerted by one of my staff in the office, I thought it was in reference to the brother. But those reports persisted. So I did call Dr. Aluoch, who actually confirmed to me that Professor Magoha had passed on about 5 minutes before then. Subsequently, I sent a text message to President William Ruto, who was out of the country, to alert him of Professor Magoha's death. And indeed, he called me back within a couple of minutes to confirm whether it was true that Professor Magoha had actually passed on, because it was barely 2 weeks when we were with him at State House. So I confirmed the same to him, and he told me, or he instructed me, to reach out to the Deputy President on his behalf to get further guidance as to how the current government and by extension cabinet could respond to that sad state of affairs. I was instructed by the Deputy President then to reach out to the family so that we could collectively become part and parcel of the preparations of that sad journey. So when I went to the family residence in Lavington, I had consultations with Dr. Barbara and son Michael and the Member of Parliament, Elisha, and they did actually make certain requests to the government, which I relayed back. And I'm happy to report that all that the Magoha asked for at that point in time by way of logistical support from the government of the Republic of Kenya indeed acceded to and went ahead to execute with precision. 2, I convey my personal condolences to the family. We have lost a great scholar. We have lost a renowned medic. We have lost an astute professional. This is not just a loss to the people of Game, but to the entire country and by extension, the global medical fraternity. Because Professor Magoha has achieved almost all that a human being can achieve in life, I would say that what we need to do today is to join the family in celebrating his life. May I now, ladies and gentlemen, with permission from the congregation, take the distinguished honor and privilege to read the message of condolences from Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya. And I proceed. Message of condolence by His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces of the Republic of Kenya, to the family of the late Professor George Omore Magoha. To Dr. Barbara Magoha, your son Dr. Michael Magoha, the extended Magoha family, and to the entire community of Umira village and Nyamninia, to the wider Nyanza family, and to the people of Kenya who are touched at a personal level by the reason we are here today. I received the sad news of the sudden passing on of Professor George Albert Omore Magoha on 24th January 2023 with total surprise and disbelief. I wanted to believe that it was fake news in the post-truth times that we live in today. I tried to wish it away as a bad dream, but it was neither fake news nor a passing bad dream. Slowly coming to terms with the harsh reality. The cruel hand of death has plucked from our midst one of our finest. We have lost an amazing person whom we have variously known as a colleague, a friend, a relative, a role model, and a mentor. Accordingly, we join the Magoha family here today for the final send-off. We have come here to bid farewell to a fallen national hero. Our departed friend has been the kingpin of this family and an icon for the rest of us. It is most difficult season for the family and friends, ladies and gentlemen, and I join myself with the Magoha family in your mourning. Poleni sana. I have had the privilege to know Professor Magoha from very close. Among other things, I served with him in the last cabinet. He was also the Vice Chancellor of the University of Nairobi when I was the Minister for Higher Education. And our paths have also met in many other edifying places and ways. In all these, he leaves me with fond memories. I've known Professor Magoha as a most fascinating patriot who loved his country and enjoyed serving it. Professor Magoha loved doing his work. He had no half measures. He put his whole heart and his whole being into everything that he did. And he believed in whatever he did. If he did not believe in it, he did not even begin doing it, ladies and gentlemen. The patriot occupied large space everywhere he went. Those who got to know him well will remember him as the one man who believed in the possibility of a perfect universe. But Professor Magoha did not just believe that a perfect universe was possible. He spent his entire life and energy working towards the realization of this perfect universe. He will be remembered as a spirited go-getter. This focused gentleman did his utmost to rally teams around beliefs and causes. He set out to lead them to achieve the goals, and in the process, Professor Magoha turned out to be an astute administrator and institutional leader. He was an outstanding surgeon and a professional role model. As a scholar, he researched and published widely. He was faithful to the academic credo of his times, publish or perish. As a visionary scholar and leader, his towering dreams have been immortalized in his numerous research papers and in the iconic varsity towers at the University of Nairobi, which he believed was the only university in Kenya. He dedicated tour of duty as cabinet secretary, saw him set out to keep our children in school. He roamed in the villages in the countryside, looking for dropout children and returning them to the classroom. He visited individual homes in the slums and informal settlements to find out why children were not in school. He was at his happiest whenever he tracked down one child and returned them to school. Professor Magoha loved order, industry, and results. Once his eyes were fixed on the final prize, nothing could sway or discourage him. He was especially impatient with laziness and irresponsibility. He could not entertain mediocrity. He would speak plainly when taking to task the lazy and the irresponsible. He especially had no time for unavoidable slowness of mind. He did not hesitate to call out the culprits in plain language. I will always remember Professor Magoha as a thought leader, an energetic worker, a frank man who did not know how to mince his words. I will recall him as a compassionate colleague, who stood with those around him in difficult times, and as a conciliator who believed in dialogue as the best intervention in cases of conflict. I will remember his focus, great sense of humor, and his attention to sense of occasion too. Such is the kind of person we have come to pay our last respects to, fellow Kenyans. A man who grew to be bigger than the family space could hold, nor could this village hold. Nyanza could not hold him. The game could not hold him, and indeed Kenya could not hold him, and Kenya didn't. Magoha was a citizen of Africa and the entire world. He now belongs to the ages and rests with the sages. We who believe in resurrection and eternity know that he has moved on to everlasting consciousness. We therefore thank God for his life and for the promise of the life to come in the foreseeable future. We thank God and for the privilege of having been a part of this universe in this life. We certainly look forward to meeting him again in resurrection. Meanwhile, Dr. Barbara and the entire Magoha family, I say once again, poleni sana. May God wipe away your tears and sorrow. May he cause you to smile and laugh again. And may Professor George Albert Omore Magoha soul find perfect rest and peace in eternity. Amen. Dated this 11th day of February, the year 2023, William Samoei Ruto, President Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces of the Republic of Kenya. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Waziri Owalo, Eli Owalo. Thank you. Program now, we're almost coming to an end. It's my privilege and honor to invite President Uhuru will not believe this. I'll invite my uncle, Prime Minister Raila Odinga.
Thank you. Hello. Mama Barbara Magoha, my brother President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, the clergy, fellow monarchs, hamjambo. We've come to pay tribute and farewell to a great Kenyan. And I want to say without fear of contradiction that right inside that coffin lies a great man. We've come because of the tragedy that has befallen us. Shakespeare said in Julius Caesar that cowards die many times before their death, but the brave do not taste of death but once. So let it be with George. A lot has already been said about George, and I want to basically confirm that everything that has been said about George is true. I came to know George when he was still a young man, because his elder brother was spoken here, John Obaretula, Udalonyo More, we Mokmede Moro.
These are the people who received me when I came back from Europe, in Nairobi. John, his other late cousin Rangela Odundo, Michael Kinyanyi, Javan Chavanga, Okach Woodman Bondo. Those are the people who received me in Nairobi and showed me the way of Nairobi. They're the ones who took me to the Ngong races, Kupiga Farasi. And it is through that relationship that I got to know Professor. He was then a student at the Stafford College, and a very diligent student, as you can see from his record. He excelled academically, but he was a very, very humble person. Humility was his way of life. He recognized everybody. Some people say that Magoha was arrogant. I say no. Magoha was just a straight talking person. And if people don't like sometimes to hear the truth, he will say it the way he's saying it. You love it or not, but he will say it. And he has excelled, as you have seen, wherever he's been, wherever he has gone to. That's why when my brother one time asked me, but what do you think about this man? Do you think he can make a good minister for education? I had no hesitation saying, yes, this fellow will not disappoint you. And he did, as the president is going to confirm to you, he did not disappoint in that position. He has done a lot of things in his career as a medical doctor, as a teacher, and as a minister. So all those are actually recorded there. I don't want to repeat them. But it was something, and people were actually, some of his colleagues around say, oh, Magoha is not helping us. He's not helping the Luos in the field of academia. Magoha would say that, look, I don't need to help Luos. The only way I can help Luos is ensuring that there is level playing field. There's no cheating in examinations. And the Luos will excel. Given opportunity, equal opportunity, will excel. So I want to give equality, set a standard for each and every Kenyan child to be able to acquire quality education. And this he did very well. So I am proud to have been associated with Magoha. As you've been told, their mother comes from my village. I used to call him Uruwaya. Uruwaya. And he has been somebody who is rare in his words, is very, very few words, but he does more things, and what he does has been seen. That's why I'm happy that so many people have come today here to witness his last wedding. And we've given an honor that is given to a Luo hero. A Luo hero is mourned the way we have mourned it. The Nigerians there will tell you, because they also do the same thing in their own country, that if you want to see, you know how this is done, there's a book written by the late Paramount Chief Palmboya, Meduong Otho. How do you mourn him? And that is how we have mourned him today, as a great hero of the Luo community. This place, as we've already been told, is the citadel of education in Luo land. The late Paramount Chief Odera Kano, the pioneer of education here. And because of that, the Game people went to school much earlier than other people. And the other time, very proud that in the Game we are teaming with the intellectuals. People don't throw stones. But if you throw a stone, you're likely to hit a professor or a doctor or a lawyer. But I think these days other parts of the woodland have also caught up. Video game. But I'm also proud to be a son-in-law here. Okan Gibochinaka. Gimernabi. Gioshinabi. Okamano. Miana Kawuna more. Bill Muna Bedu Kurukuono. Kawako Wudumrandiga. Oka Wudumrandiga. Kawuono Kawach Vichi Mangain. Abulos could sing Machielo. Abulos sing Machielo. Eh? Eh? Hello? Hello? Ogen tiwi nyariyo. Moro ti lungo ni ajula julu. To moro lungo ni hundwe. Ajula julu kibina ajula julu nyise kubanonyo wala. To doko otimo nango. Okosiemo. No nyiso kamano. To hundwe beriambo. Hundwe beriambo. Ajula julu nyincho wacho nyise kumano nyolwe. To hundwe bende okoye hundwe be wacho. Hundwe be ko wacho koso. Emo mian kwa na los kawuono. Kawuono wadu pudiamen. Tikone na yie. Nyakori. Wai kodi. Okamano. Okano pudiamen koso. Okano pudiamen. Okano pudiamen. Tokane wai. Okane wai. Tokane na modi. Okane kakopin. Okane kakopin. Aburo rosu kudu bangeda mangi preaching. Ana wacho jothuro kama ontieni one akere keke. Joamuno chumo tegno. Chumo tegno ni kijange kumadu wanu wadhiye. Kamadu wanu wadhiye ni wuth mutegno. Okodwa jimandoke. Okodwa jimandoke. Uinja thurwa. Uinja. Wadi ya diaka kama di changi na wadi chopu. Tandoke o di kitengi. Imathundi mada na gutu kukende. Uye kamano. Ufura uye. Kura wabuna kawa tuloni. So that I can invite another friend of Professor, my brother, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
Asante sana. The clergy that is leading us in today's celebration, Mama Dr. Barbara Magoha, your wonderful son, Dr. Michael, and his wife, the extended Magoha family, my brother, my friend, my party leader, Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, fellow mourners, we are here to join you today to celebrate
the life of a great son of this country. Professor George Magoha was a man that many may say was before his time. A man committed to education, a man committed to enlightenment, a man who neither saw color, tribe, region, or country, but saw each and every person to equality, not only before the eyes of God, but in law, and most importantly, for Professor Magoha, in terms of access to education. I had an opportunity to work with Professor Magoha. I had an opportunity to interact severally with Professor Magoha, especially at a time when we were going through very difficult times in the education sector. Many of you will recall the numerous cases of exam cheating that used to take place. And when Magoha's term as Vice Chancellor of Nairobi University came to an end, I requested him, because of what I had seen in terms of his contribution to Nairobi University, to take on the role of heading the National Examination Council. And under his leadership, at that time, together with Professor Matiang'i, they saw the eradication of cheating in our national exams. And they brought sanity and quality back to exams and to our education system. Hiyo kazi yote ilikuwa ya huyu mzee ambaye amelala hapa mbele yetu. As if that was not enough, we continued to work together. When I appointed him as the Cabinet Secretary for Education, again, a milestone for Kenya under his leadership of the ministry. For the very first time, and the first country in sub-Saharan Africa, Magoha managed to move the transition rate from primary to secondary education to 100%. Kazi ya huyu mzee ambaye amelala hapa. Making sure that no child was left without an opportunity for education. Making sure that no child ended his education in standard 8 because of lack of fees or facilities. That was his commitment to education. That was his commitment to the children of this country. He went further, and as minister, working with his colleagues in East Africa, proceeded to work to develop curricula, to develop standards for universities that are now emulated not only in the East African community, but also in other countries like Malawi and Zambia and others who wanted to learn from him. But more importantly, as I said the other day, he also took on the challenge of refreshing our curriculum to make it better suited to help our children face the challenges of the future. And this he did not because of politics, but because he believed in it. And if truly what everybody has said here is what they mean, because I have sat and listened to so many eulogies here about what a wonderful man lies before us today, what a great giant lies before us today, then implement what he started and let this country benefit from what he worked so hard to achieve. Less politics and more work. That is who Magoha was. And that is what we shall remember of him. And for us, we have lost a friend, we have lost a partner, we have lost a colleague, and we have lost a great giant of this country. And ours today is just to stand with you, Mama Barbara, to stand with your family, to stand with the extended family. The same way Magoha stood with us, we shall also stand with you to the very end. To the people of Gem, be proud to have produced giants such as the one who lies before us. And you are known to produce this. So musilale, muendelee na kazi, mutuletee wengine, na wengine, na wengine. Tujenge taifa letu la Kenya. Ama namna gani? Tumekubaliana? Na vile Magoha aliishi, vile nimesema, bila kuangalia kabila, bila kuangalia dini, bila kuangalia rangi. Hata bibi ametembea, ametoa kule Nigeria, ametuletea hapa. Viongozi, tuache ukabila, tupendane kama Wakenya, tujenge nchi yetu pamoja na tuweze kujadiliana pamoja, tuwe na Kenya ambayo itakuwa ya kufana na ambaye kila Mkenya anatoshea na kila Mkenya anafurahia. Ama ni namna gani wenzangu? Ni hivyo. Hiyo ndiyo njia ya kumkumbuka ndugu yetu, rafiki yetu, na tunauliza Mwenyezi Mungu amlaze pahali pema, Mwenyezi Mungu amurehemu, Mwenyezi Mungu aendelee kubariki familia yake, jamii yake, wananchi wa Gem na wananchi wa Kenya kwa jumla. Asanteni sana. Thank you very much.
Finally, thank you, Your Excellency, for your very gracious remarks about our brother, our departed brother. Dr. Michael Magoha and your beautiful wife, who I met. Michael, I have nothing to say. It's your turn now.
Hi. Oh, wow. There are so many people here. Clergy, distinguished guests, fellow